Hello, everybody. My name is Jake Paine, and this is my show, Pain Purpose. I'm super excited to have on a special guest today, Matt Hanson, the one and only. Dude, this is it.
I want to make this as awkward for you as possible. So with the cameras, you're like,
Yeah.
who is this nerd that's on this show? What's going on with this guy? Yeah.
Dude.
It'll be great. It'll be great for B-roll later.
I feel like I haven't been too awkward recently, but actually we were FaceTiming my sister and her boyfriend.
Yeah.
And my mom was she wouldn't say nothing crazy, but we were just like saying stuff and you could tell she was so embarrassed.
Yeah.
And I was like, God, I haven't seen my sister act like that since we were like kids.
I'm as old as I am. I take pictures and photos of my mom. She's like, can you just please just smile regular? Because I'm always like, got my sunglasses on. Like, it's like, you're not 12. Please don't do that. It's like, that's the best photo of me though.
Dude, I love that.
Get the left dimple, not the right dimple.
Do you catch her on selfies a lot? You're like, Mom, come here, let's do it.
No, this is the thing. She wants to take more now that the older I've gotten. I was like, don't you have a ton of these from when I was 13, 14? She's like, yes, but you look different now and you're more like your father. And it's like, okay.
You're more like your father.
I was like, this is getting weird. I don't like where this is headed, but yeah. So yeah.
Dude. So where's your mom at? Where are you guys from?
So originally we all started actually in North Carolina. And then my dad was in the Navy. So
where in North Carolina?
So Camp Lejeune military base was where I was born.
Okay, cool.
And then we went to San Diego, got back to North Carolina, Winston-Salem, then Charlotte down to Georgia. I graduate high school, go into the military, San Antonio, Texas to North Dakota, go back to Georgia, and then I'm out in California, and that's where I've been for the past 13 years.
Dang.
So in a nutshell, that's the location story.
I appreciate the expediency running through all that. That's a lot.
We're on a clock, man. Let's roll.
Yeah. Dude, all right. So back to North Carolina. I'm actually going to North Carolina for a buddy's wedding.
Okay.
And it's in Winston-Salem.
Yeah.
It's at it's like the old house, the Rick Lee house or something.
I'd like to help you. I haven't been there since 1990. So I have it could have changed. It could have changed dramatically.
Big time.
I just knew that's where I was. Yeah.
But now your focus is, even though you've been in the military and everything, you like really identify as being like a creative in a film and everything.
Yeah. So this is the weird, like the God path that I never saw coming. I wanted to be a basketball player so bad. Like I grew up in the time of Jordan and the Bulls and the Dream Team and everything like that. So this is like early 90s. And up until 96, I was convinced like I was going pro.
Really?
UNC Duke.
You were a baller?
It was like, dude, except for the Jordans that I didn't have, I was playing in Spalding and Voigts, but I was amazing. I had a fadeaway shot that would kill you. But like up until I'm like my junior year in high school, like that's my path. And then somebody who was a friend of mine from ROTC introduced me to drama club, and it was downhill from there. What's like, I came in, I was doing some funny impressions, and people were like, who are you? What are you doing? I've been in ROTC this whole time. Well, not anymore. You're coming with us. So that was the start of everything. And then after I got out of high school, military, because I had to, and then went back to Atlanta for a little bit. Didn't really know what I wanted to do because I was out of the military, knew that wasn't going to be my path, but I was still creative, I was still like artistic and like funny and stuff like that. So long story short, got a job opportunity to go to California, worked there for 3 months at a motorcycle production place, and then tried my hand at stand-up comedy and did that for 3 years. And then I found the GI Bill was kicking out like fuller benefits for college education. And so I went to film school, and that was it. Like ever since then, it's been just like bananas.
Dude, that's crazy. How long ago was that when you went to film?
Film school was 2009.
What was it like being a comedian?
Let me tell you, Jake. It was such a fun time for me because I'd never been allowed to, not that somebody trapped me in a closet, but I'd never gotten to explore that side of myself. And so the first time I went up, I bombed so bad. But at the end of it was over, I was like, well, if that's as bad as it gets, I think I can do that again. Because I distinctly remember I went on I had what I thought was a solid 6-minute set. And then I got one of these. and like the whole 6.5, 7 minutes, I was like, all right, well, I got half of one. So let's go from there. But yeah, I would play it. You'd go to bringer shows. You got to bring like 4 or 5 people, or they put you on at the end or whatever. But I had a great time. Like I wasn't making any money, but I was getting this incredible experience of honing your craft. And if anybody's in video production kind of knows, as a comedian, you're a writer, director, actor, producer. You're doing 7 things in that 5-minute set.
Yeah.
To make sure that people laugh and you're paying attention to. So it was weird to do that first and then go to learn about video production because, I was just doing this the whole time. It's just never on a grand scale. So sitting down and getting to write material, seeing what works. Like I remember I was working at NBC Studios as an overnight security guard. And so one of the biggest moments I ever had was I was just sitting there writing material, and I had access to the key offices and stuff. So like Jay Leno's office was upstairs. And so I was like, okay, I'm either going to get fired or I'm going to take a shot. And so I was like 27. I didn't have any to lose either way. So I wrote him a very nice note and I said, hey, Mr. Leno, big fan. Obviously we have motorcycles in common. Like he was going to call me up or something. I was like, yeah, sure. Come on a ride. But the crazy thing was I put my number on the sticky note or one of the things. The next day he calls me. I was asleep and I picked it up. He goes, hi, is this Matt? I go, yeah. I do a terrible Leno. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Jake. He's like, I got your note. Why don't you come by and say hi after the Tonight Show filming today? I'll be right there, sir. So I just like literally booked it down in the studio, put on my name badge so I wouldn't get tackled by security, the security badge.
Sure.
And he's like, oh yeah, I got your note. What are you thinking about? How far are you along in your career? And I was like, I'm sorry, I'm new, but I have some thoughts. Would you give me some pointers? So he took me aside for 5 minutes and just talked to me like a genuine person. Super nice guy. Couldn't ask for a better, interaction between two people. And he's like, well, start here. And if you're doing this and, when you're ready, let's see what happens sort of thing. So that was kind of the boost I needed to keep going. And then after that, shortly was kind of film school. So yeah.
Dude, that's crazy.
The brain never goes away. The comedian brain is always like right there on a trigger pull. So like we could go, I don't know about your family, but say one of your relatives dies and go to the funeral. Be like, and this was a lovely person. Yeah, but she owed me $5. Like this is the thing. It's always on like a hair trigger. So you just get used to these ideas where you're always looking for the funny in even the most terrible situation. And it's a wonderful way to think because a lot of people don't have that, but it breeds so much creativity when you have that. And like I can just pull that out at any time. And if it's appropriate, use it. If not, not to, but.
Dude, that makes all the sense in the world. You know who I'm thinking about?
No.
My boy, Jean-Marc.
Yeah, dude. So literally met him last night. Baller creative guy. Like we need to, no homo. We need to be like, we need to be like living together.
Yeah. We need to invite him over.
People are like, did you say no homo? Yeah. Well, we had a great time. Like, I think we just scratched the surface on that friendship. So I'm excited to see how that goes. Dude, he's awesome.
So that was something I am not a comedian, but like I started doing some research about it and everything. It is kind of cool because you learn a lot of skills in terms of like timing, like building up to something and all that stuff. So did you do any training for any of that stuff?
No, this is the thing is there's people that put on courses and classes and you could be learning. No. And I think Steve Harvey is famous for saying this, like you either have it or you don't. And if you're in a class to see if you can be the person, like you're not supposed to be there.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's as jokey and fun as it is, the regiment of actually getting that down is a science. So if you have 5 minutes worth of material, you got to make sure that hits because you can't go up in front of an audience and you think it's going to go and it doesn't. And you'll find out real fast. And I think Seinfeld had a comment or like a saying one time, is like, there's 2 things in life that people fear, like the top of the list. And number one is public speaking. And number 2 is dying. So the joke was like, I'd rather be in the casket than giving the eulogy at the funeral. But it's when you get it in tune, and I would go perform like, 2 times a night when I was doing it, but you would see guys. And so they would have the same routine for a month and a half. They would hone it and it would get better and tighter and faster and sharper. And by the end of the 20th show, they were so good because the new crowds coming in hadn't seen it before.
Yeah.
So they would have it down to a point where by the time I'd seen it 20 times, it was just bam.
Really?
And that's what you're trying to get to is always like that echelon of pop, 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 rests, whatever it is for you. If you're doing voices or whatever it is, but it is people that make fun of comedians like, oh, it's not a job. Like it's a science, man.
Oh, I believe
science.
It. And that's a hustle and grind. Like
you got
20 shows of the same thing.
You really want to, well, that's not even, that's kind of the tip of the iceberg. Like some of these guys perfect stuff for a year or more.
Wow. I think about that all the time. Like, for example, like Tony Robbins or somebody who's been doing something for so long. I'm like, dude, this guy's literally been saying the same thing. Yeah, it changes and evolves and everything. But like at the same time, talk about mastery, like getting your master in your craft and everything.
I mean, and not to get Christianese immediately, but
hit me.
Why are you doing something if you're not going to do it at the highest point of Like,
Oh,
and
yeah.
that's the thing with me with just being a Christian is like, I want to operate at the highest level because this talent, it's not mine. I didn't accumulate it. Like God gave it to me from birth. So whatever this thing is inside me, I want to perform, whether that's a video, directing something or stand-up comedy, whatever it is. Like, I want this to be the best that it can be. And if it's not that, why am I doing it? Like, why are you going to put the time into something that's not going to be the best that you can do it?
For sure.
So, yeah.
So have you been a believer for a long time?
Yeah.
I think you
no,
have been.
Yeah. I'm pretty much raised in the church. So
Okay.
when I was, don't quote me, sorry, mom, 3 years old, 5 years old, like I was up there giving my life to Christ when I was tiny, tiny, tiny.
Come
To the
on,
point
man.
where before I could read, I was reciting scripture verses and we had like these little records and you would play, Jesus loves me. And I'm quoting verses and scriptures and
Records?
yeah, there was like little
What?
kids.
So
There
were
was
you
like
born
little
in the
kids.
Stone
There's like
Age?
kids.
Like,
All right,
how
you know what? This podcast has been fun, but yeah, dude. I'll be 44 this year. Crazy,
Dude,
yeah.
that's pretty young.
Yeah, it's what do they say? 40 is the new 35 or
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that.
40's the new 30.
But no, yeah, it was funny too because I have like I remember specifically Disney records and Christian records, and so whatever the Bible story was, I could recite the Bible story before I could actually read words, and so I was raised from a very young age.
Dude, that is pretty wild. Because if you can think about it, I guess almost everybody on planet Earth can speak. Couple people
Mute.
Couple people can't, right?
Yeah, racist this guy. All right, whatever.
What?
Racist against mute people.
Mute people. But a lot of people can't read.
Which hurts my brain, but it's true, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like
If you never had to do it to survive in society, I mean, yeah, it's a
I'd
crazy
be willing to bet at least 20% of the world can't read.
I don't know the statistics, but we'll find that out.
I don't know 'em either.
Producer, can you look that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
look that up
What are
for
the
us, Chris.
statistics?
But yeah, no. Okay, so where was it going with this? Yeah, I could tell. Like even from the first time you came into the group and shared that story, I was like, was there a certain age or time frame when things like you decided to take it to the next level or get more real about it, or was it kind of always like a gradual thing?
Yeah, because I think you're trying to. There comes a point in your life, and for me, I think it was in my early 20s where, and still there was kind of a lot of pushback where I don't think I was ever not a believer. There's points in time where you don't understand what God is doing, and you're trying to read the Bible. Like, what does this mean? Who do I talk to? And this is why, like, I just love the group so much.
Yeah.
By the way, if we didn't preface that, we're in a Bible group together, men's Bible group.
Yeah.
But you have to have that camaraderie with people to kind of lead and guide you spiritually and be mentors. Because if you're doing it on your own solo, there's a lot of like, I've heard the term lone wolf Christians. Like, that's not a thing, man. You're not.
It's not a thing.
Unless God's called you into the desert for 40 days to do a fast and you're, going to come out with a prophetic vision about something, like you need the community. So I think that was I had a time where I kind of slipped away, and it was literally because I didn't have a community. And then I came back strong when I was in my early 30s and mid 30s. I'm like, okay, what am I doing with my life? What does this creativity mean? What is, it's great that I can direct a video of Nike shoes, but like, how does that translate really? Because it goes back to wanting to do your best. So what does this mean in the marketplace for the Lord? How is this, are we saving souls with TV shows and commercials? Like what's the real thing here? And that kind of lends itself into, we take the term missionary and we assign it to this thing of, oh, well, the missionary is just this. And like, your mission field is your work and what you do in everyday life. So it doesn't matter if I'm on a set or, cracking a joke or something like that, but that's whoever I'm speaking with, it's going to come across in that way. And I'm going to be like, oh, there's something, hopefully, like something different about this guy. What is it? And then, start to tell the testimony. It comes out. But,
Dude, come on, man.
Yeah.
I love it. That's something that is like, I don't think that we really, it was actually really interesting. I had lunch with a guy the other day and we were talking about like sharing your testimony with other people. And he does that all the time.
Yeah.
Like that's his form of evangelism. And he's like, oh yeah, I have a course on this and I can help you with this. Like, what's yours?
Yeah.
And like started talking about it. I'm like, dude, that's so impressive. I don't know. Sometimes we get in this bubble where I'm like, I'm focused on my thing. Like I'm doing this, I'm doing that.
Right.
A lot of people are believers who I'm surrounded myself by. So like, I don't necessarily always go on a mission to evangelize throughout my day and stuff, but I probably should more, the more we think about it. That's just something that that's something that I feel like we've bought the lie that we don't want to impose on other people, but that's not true.
No. And the thing is, I mean, let's get down to brass tacks here. Like you're in the world to make sure that people get saved and don't go the other way. You can say whatever you want about Christians. Like, we only really have one purpose on this planet, and we can throw in life and creativity or money and whatever that is. But like, at the end of the day, I don't believe we're going to get up to heaven and God's going to go like, Matt, can't believe you won that Academy Award. He's like, what did you do with what I gave you?
Yeah.
If it was self-serving, at the end of the day, like, you wasted your life. So these people out there that like need to hear this good news. And I think there comes a point in your life as a Christian where you just can't struggle with that anymore. And it becomes a question that you ask God is, okay, how do I do this effectively? Because I feel like, and just me personally, for a long time, I haven't, but I want to make that more of a thing as I go forward. And I believe that my thing is media and just the way that I tell the stories. Now, I'm sure that that's going to change and with different things that I can do and everything up to that. But if somebody watches something that I produce and at the end of the day, they don't go, that's a little bit different. I wonder why it's different. Or did he talk about, we had this conversation last night with Jean. It was like, we were talking about a project that I was doing that was hardcore Bible, old school, Old Testament story. And I was like, but it's like this and this combined. And his eyes were like, wow. I was like, yeah, I know. But that's the media side of it. It's like, okay, the visuals represent, do the story justice, but also this is going to be done in such a way that even if you're not a believer, you see this, whoa, I want to read this story for real. Like, let me get a Bible and see if this checks out. Because like, if it doesn't, this guy's a phony and you don't want to be known as that. But
Dude,
that's the thing about it. I don't know how many people became a Christian after Passion of the Christ, but I can imagine there was a significant uptick in like Bible sales. If you were like, wait, what happened? You can't come away from a film like that and be like, nothing to that really. And
dude, that movie was pretty wild.
Power.
Super.
And this
powerful.
is the thing is I think that I know that God gives us this ability to make these things in such a creative way that it attracts attention. And so it is like, what's the right attention? You can do things beautifully visually, but if there's no, sincere tone to it with your faith.
Yeah.
Like for instance, like I love motorcycles.
Yeah.
And have for a long time.
Do you have one?
Not now. I sold the last one, but I'm about to get into it again. But at the end of the day, that's not something if I don't use it as kind of like a cool share tool.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't for a long time. I was just like trying to be in communities and stuff like that. But
yeah,
like you could so turn that into, I saw a girl on the other day, she was on Instagram and she has a whole page, like she's a Christian writer and she has this whole funny thing where she's like singing in her helmet, like, the Lord's going to protect me. And then like a semi goes by and she's like, whoa, thank you, God. So it's like real time talking about like the Lord and it's a great thing because like social media has just become that thing for us where you can have your testimony out there and be a witness in such a really cool way that, didn't exist like 15, 20 years ago.
Did you ever feel like a fake or a liar or anything whenever you were sharing your testimony?
Well,
like really inauthentic?
The thing with me was like, I don't think I have or just being brutally honest, I don't think I have an interesting testimony. Like, because you hear something and people go, I was on drugs or I killed 3 people, raped somebody, but the Lord saved me. I'm like, that's a testimony. And I'm just like,
I got nothing.
I'm just like, for a couple months, I wouldn't look at porn. And then I looked at porn and then I felt really bad. I don't feel like I have an really engaging, I think my personality is engaging, but the story behind how I've just been a Christian since I was 5 years old isn't like, okay, whatever, get out of here. But,
and by the way, I feel the same way. I don't know if there was a time where I ever wasn't saved.
No.
I don't understand. Like, yes, you have to be conscious decision, but I don't know. I feel like kids kind of are saved, right? Until a certain point. But like, I was saved as long as I can remember, and I remember when I, did it, but I was young.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing is like,
I questioned a lot when I was in high school and kind of learned.
Did you ever feel jaded because of it? This was the thing is like, well, I'm a Christian, so I don't feel this way to do this here. There's like a moment of, I guess, I don't associate with things because I'm a Christian or I don't do this. And so it's not, I think I struggle with that for a little bit myself.
I guess not. Maybe a little bit.
No, I'm just embarrassed. So thanks.
No, I mean, that's such an interesting way to think about it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if that's how I view my identity. Or
this is now the podcast I'm going to start. I'm going to call it Jaded Christians. I'm going to go off of this thing.
Maybe
now
that you say that, I think I am jaded. You know, you're so jaded. You didn't know you were jaded.
Ideas keep coming.
Too late. But no, I mean, that's a pretty interesting concept.
Yeah, because it's and I got busted by this really beautifully by a pastor one time because he was talking about
a beautiful pastor. Or?
No, the way it came out was, I guess he was beautiful. I
got busted by this beautiful pastor. I was like,
an odd haircut. No, the way in which he did it was so beautiful because it wasn't denigrating to me or it wasn't like putting me in my place. He said something and I said something to the tune of, well, because I've been a Christian for so long, I think this way. And he said, well, that's interesting because in the New Testament, it says this. And please forgive me because I don't remember the actual conversation, but I just remember, wow, that put me in my place hardcore. And I wasn't like, it wasn't a one-on-one situation. There was like 8 people in the room. And so I just, sorry, I spoke up. Shouldn't have said that. But, and that's the thing too, is this constant, I think I definitely got to a point where I'd read all the Bible and I didn't feel like there was anything more I could learn, which is ridiculous.
Dude, that's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. But this is the thing is like I said, if you've been saved since you were 5, and when you're 26, 27, if you've heard all the stories and you've been to church and praise and worship and prayer, like what more is there? And I think that's actually a great place to be because that next step in your faith is, okay, God, I'm serious about this, or I think I'm serious about this. What does this mean for my life and purpose? And so as I'm in my 40s now, I don't think my purpose was really revealed to me until I was almost in my mid 30s. And I didn't go to school till I was like college and education was when I was 30 years old. So there's this lead up of this incredible adventures you're having, but you're not really doing anything. You're trying to make it work, but it's not working. And then God comes and shows you who you are. For us as men and sons of God is like, okay, this is the path that I have for you. And this is how it's going to be successful. And depending on how much information he gives you. But that's a big thing for us. I think we need to know that because I think there's a lot of lost Christians out there just have no purpose. And we are created to have purpose and specific purposes because God is a specific God. He's not just like, oh, well, whatever you want to do. Like you have talents, you have abilities. Those are made to benefit the world in amazing ways, but you got to seek him and find out what those are or else you're just wasting time.
Dude, that's such a good point. Like in so much. So now moving forward, what would you say your purpose is?
So he's given me kind of a heart for the globe, but in a media ministry sort of way. And not to say like I'm going to produce a bunch of Christian shows. That's on the docket for sure. But there's something about me that wants to travel and just get out and see things and do things. But the resonance of my heart is, okay, but that can't just be for you because then you're posting a bunch of cool pics on Instagram. Like I went to China, Italy, and stuff like that. There's going to be appointments that are set up for me.
Big time.
For all of us, really, like you're going to Turkey, like you're going to meet somebody there. Either it's your testimony or you're finding out how they are. It could be something as simple as praying for somebody who's never heard the name of Jesus. Whatever that is, but that's on my heart is kind of like this global travel adventure thing. And it's weird that I didn't really know that until my mid 30s, but I took a trip to Italy when I was 30 years old after I graduated film school. And it changed the dynamic of my whole brain.
In what way?
I was like, what else out there is that I don't know about this? Because it was just an amazing trip.
Because I had a kind of a similar experience.
Yeah. I went to Venice, Florence, Bologna, and Rome in 2.5 weeks. And I went with one of my best friends. We just had the time of our lives. But I got back and I went, I'd seen movies and you'd seen TV shows about other places, but there was no real understanding of, oh, well, that's what it's like there. And that trip just like kickstarted my brain in an amazing dynamite way. Just, ow. And it hasn't stopped since. But I think that was something the Lord had to, until I had that experience, it wasn't really going to be unlocked.
Yeah.
So you can tell me, like, I can be on a motorcycle and go for a 600-mile ride, but never leave California. But when you leave the country and go somewhere else, there's something when you see other cultures and architecture and stuff like that. It's just, but that's how he works, and it's beautiful.
Big time.
So yeah.
Dude,
did I answer your question? Was that? Did I go around about way?
So, like, what changed your life about that was just really being exposed to being different.
Yeah,
the different culture and different place.
I don't think I have a regular experience, but like I was young. I went in the military when I was 19, 20 years old. Got out when I was 24. a lot of people serve much longer and have tours. I was fortunate where I was supposed to go TDY twice, but I ended up staying stateside. So I never went to Afghanistan or Iraq or anything like that. But there was an understanding of what that meant. And there was kind of a global understanding of like, that's the stuff that's going on politically and wars and everything like that. But it wasn't until I got out and really did it myself and traveled and went, oh, wow. And that really just started the starship, as I say.
Dude, 100%. Like so when I was 28, I went to Mexico for like a month and it changed me, man. Like I love Mexico. Like, and I just in traveling as a whole, but after that trip, I came back different. Like I could write a whole book about that trip.
Where'd you go?
Really just like the Mayan River area. The Mayan Riviera area.
I'm gonna time this. Go ahead. Say it right.
Mayan Riviera area.
All right.
I put Riviera and area together. Riviera.
Words you want to make up.
I'm from Florida.
However you want to say it, that's fine. Yeah.
But yeah, man, I went to Cancun, Playa del Carmen, Tulum, and back up the other way. Puerto Morelos for a couple of days.
Are you into like surfing or anything like that? Or
and they've got a little bit of surfing in Cancun. I don't think it's much. They like say you can do it, but I don't think you can do. I know the West Coast you can do a lot. But you surfed, yeah?
I got hardcore into it, and then I got pulled away because I was working on a project. But so I did a 40-day surf adventure, and the hilarious thing about that is
40-day
surf adventure all up and down the California coast. And the crazy thing is, when I started, I did not know how to surf. So basically, I said because I had an idea for a show that I wanted to create about becoming athletic and how that affects you and what you do. I thought to myself, like, what's the most slightly dangerous thing that I could do that I've never done that I wanted to do that I could do in a 40-day stretch of time?
This is a great idea.
Surfing, yeah. So I went from all the way up near San Francisco all the way down to San Onofre, California, and just had the blast, but didn't die, as you can see.
Of course.
Clearly still here. Yeah. But there was such a crazy learning curve in that where I'm like, oh, shoot, this is skill. Like, there's something in this that's not, you can't pick up a basket. It's not like going on a court and just like, shoot a free throw. It's, first of all, I don't know any other sports that you go out and you might possibly die because of fish
shock
or drowning. This is
like,
wait a second, I could go out just having fun and you could die today. Like, oh, wow. And that kind of ups the security mind clearance. Like, okay, let's be smart about this. But my first week out, it was terrible. Like I was almost tombstone in the thing. I was under the whale. Like, and then
dude,
I realized,
I've done that in California and I was afraid.
Yeah.
Like I got destroyed.
Yeah. And that's the thing is if you can, some people like, that's it. I don't want to do it. For me, it energizes me and I go, all right, let me find out how to technically do this well because I want to make this a thing. And like, it's even
like your stand up. Is this all you got?
This is the thing is, because now I'm in my early 40s. I'm like, okay, I'm technically starting in my 40s. So how good can I be by the time I hit 50? And that's kind of a fun adventure I'm on right now.
I do that with myself. I'm
Unfortunately,
like, I'm going to be 40 soon.
We're in Florida, so there's no real sorry for Florida surfers. But like,
dude, you can't say that. We got world champions come out of Cocoa Beach. We do.
You do.
Best surfer in the world from Cocoa Beach.
They have to leave.
Nah, man.
You
can surf year round Cocoa Beach. You can. It's small.
If you've been to California, you're immediately jaded because that, like, when you have surplus of 3-foot waves, if you go down to Huntington or Oceanside,
dude,
I'm sorry.
It's one of the best places to
Florida surfers. I'm not taking it.
It's one of the best places to surf.
Send your hate mail too.
Not me. But I surfed in Oceanside.
Yeah.
It was pretty impressive.
Awesome, man. Huntington,
it was so cool. Such a vibe. Everybody's surfing on the beach. Like, it was super cool. So 40 days, was it like a camp or like did you travel with other people?
Solo.
It was just like for 40 days, I'm going to learn how to surf.
Yeah. And I met up with people along the way and I found surf clubs and I wasn't stupid about it. Like, made sure like there was somebody within 5 feet of me just in case. But I did like because the whole plan was to create this show around, which I have done, by the way. But it parallels with every single sport has this timeline attached to it. So we put you through the training program initially. And then after that, it's a 40-day run to how good you can be within 40 days of learning how to do this thing.
I think Tim Ferriss did something like that, right?
It translates to all sports. But the thing is, with all the technology we have now and all the fitness trainers and tacticians and people can say like, don't put your foot there, put your foot there. with all that, if you don't have anything else to do, you have no job to go to, and we can pay your bills for a month and a half, let's see. Step up to the plate and let's see what you can do.
Yeah.
So that was the philosophy behind it.
So how good did you get?
Not. I could pop up and I can serve. And
can you turn?
I'm comfortable. Yeah, I can turn a little bit. But keep in mind too, this is when you have an 8-foot board, you're not doing crazy cuts and not doing switchback. But still, it was invigorating enough to go, I really want to keep this going. Like, this is going to be a thing in my life.
Really?
So yeah. So
can
I don't
you
know.
Still go?
Yeah. I don't know when I'm going to do it next, but I think we're coming to the point now where probably by the end of this year, I'll get back into some waves. And
dude, we should go. I would love to go.
Dude, we could have the podcast called The Beginner Surfers and start.
Dude, let's do it. Yeah. Let's go down to Puerto Escondido.
This is going to be a problem. Through this conversation, we're going to come up with 5 other podcasts.
Yeah.
Like, well, that one didn't do it. What about the next one? I like
it. Dude, that's
Sponsors,
so cool.
We are looking for you.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. We like free gear, free surfboards.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Free swim trunks.
What's crazy about it is coming from loving motorcycles to surfing, I could spend $10,000 on a bike. You know how many surfboards you could buy for $10,000? Ton. Like,
really?
Oh yeah.
You spend $10,000 on a board.
They're out there, man.
What's the cost of like a decent board?
This is the thing. Like, I got super into it, so I could tell you can go to Costco and get one, but you don't want to do that. So I would say if you're a beginner, like, you probably shouldn't spend more than like $300 on one just because you're newbie. But knowing what I know now, and like, I would keep it in good shape and do well with it, I'd probably spend $900 to $1,000 on a surf.
Yeah. Like intermediate board.
Yeah. Well, it's the whole thing. It's length.
Can you do a shorty?
I got good enough to do a 6.5 foot, but the thickness was like massive.
Oh,
so it's like, yes, it was short, but it's like, yeah, I will forgive you if you stand up and fall over.
Dude, I went surfing in Costa Rica, and this one dude was my surfer coach or whatever. I mean, it wasn't really coach. We went out together for a few minutes. Dude, that guy was like a professional.
It's just like anything else.
He surfed every day.
That's the thing, is if you get that good, I understand why people are surfers. I didn't at first when I got into it. I just kind of want to see if I could do it. But I had a day in San Onofre, and we should probably move on after this because this could be a whole nother 2-hour conversation.
Okay.
But I had a moment, and it was at sunset, and I'm out there just bobbing, and these waves are coming in, and I'd already taken 5 or 6 in the last hour, and I was feeling good, just kind of enjoying them. And this wave just came through me at just the right height, and I felt the power of it. And this thing about surfing is that surfing is not for me, is like, it's not so much the enjoyment of like, do this thing. It's like, you have to be in tune with the ocean and the power. And this thing was just like,
oh, come on.
I felt the power go through me, and I went, whoa. And I happened to look over, and somebody had just caught a wave and was going through, and the sun was like purple and orange, and the sun was going down, and they rode it all the way into shore. And I just had this moment where I go, if I had no ambition in life whatsoever, I would do this every day for the rest of my life and just be a bum.
Yeah.
Because I understood it in that moment. There was just a core understanding of what this actually is. It's just this vibe, and it's this feel. And it's great.
That was pretty
I would
magical.
like to just throw that out there. If anybody just wants to sponsor me for the rest of my life, and I'll just be a surfer, I'm down.
We can make it work.
Do it.
That was something that was really interesting to me. So when I came back from Mexico, I was going through this huge life change, right? It was going through a big breakup, moved back home, huge financial reset. And, I felt like at that point in my life, I was looking for control. And that's when I got into surfing. So that's when I went on a surf trip. And that's also when I got into skiing. So they're both similar, right? I know it's surfboard or snowboarding and surfing, but I just always skied. So but skiing and surfing, they're similar in the way.
There's a lot of similarities.
It's similar in the sense of you're on a boards, and you are in nature, and it's you in the nature, right? It's you can't fully control this. You're in weightlifting and stuff, it's you're full, the name of the game is control.
You can decide if you're going to pick up a 25-pound weight or a 50-pound weight.
Yeah. And what to do with it, right? And how you're going to use it, and how many things you're going to do with it. But with surfing and skiing, it's you have to become one with it and let it come to you. You're just balancing what it's given to you.
Right.
And that taught me a lot of life lessons of the more control I gave up and the more I just let it come to me, the better I was.
Yeah.
It was scary to do that.
Right.
And that's kind of like faith is like letting go and like,
Bro, let's get into that conversation.
you see where I'm going with
Let's
this?
get into this conversation.
Right?
Yeah.
Like you have to you have to be the glove, right? Let God take control and
Right.
you vibe with it.
But you got to take that step. And the thing is, some people never take that step. And this is the simple thing that I think, we were talking about this last night with John, like there's this point of you have to go beyond this thing that you're comfortable with. And it's almost like you jump out of a plane and God is the parachute, but he don't tell you when he's going to open. It's like, you got to trust me. And you can get like 5 feet from the ground, but I'm God, so I'm going to pull it. You're going to be fine. You're not going to crash. You're not going to, but it's just like how far the fall is. How much do you trust him? And
Right.
so especially if you profess to be a Christian and your faith is your thing, it's going to get tested, and it has to, because that's a refining thing in you. Is you have to get to that point where it's a continual process. We're refined all our life, but God's trying to refine stuff out of you to get you to the next level. And it's unsafe to take you there without the refining process. Like, you're not going to be ready. Things are going to crash and burn. And that's my whole story about how even I'm in Florida was I left California in October of 2022. We had this great thing we were doing in Austin. I was going to launch a show. We had a guy who was giving us literally millions of dollars. And unfortunately, we found out we intercepted an email that he was trying to like screw us on the back end. And so we're like, oh shoot, what now? And so this led to like owing people thousands of dollars, and to the point where I'm still paying people back now. I'm trying to, it's a crazy heady thing, but that was a jump for me. And I got on that plane knowing that I didn't have the funding except for like a small credit card. But I very strongly felt like you have to go. You have to get out of California and do this thing. And this comes back to why we're even in Florida, because I'm working on this podcast thing now that is way out of my realm. Not in terms of what I can do with it creatively, but I would never be anywhere near this sort of genre. It's not my thing. But God has just placed me there right here for this specific amount of time. And just like meeting you, I don't know what's going to come next. I just know what he said to do, what's going to happen in the long run. I'm like, okay, I'm going to focus on that. And this is very difficult and I don't like this, but I'm focusing on that because that's what you said. So let me zoom into that and then let's stay there. And then whatever else is just come and go.
I love that.
Yeah.
And
It's hard, man.
so when you make those first few steps, do you feel like you felt like you were being guided to make that step?
Oh yeah. Like I wouldn't, it was a scary thing, but also it was like, you just knew in your gut, if I don't do this, I cannot get to the next level. It's just an understanding.
That's interesting how you say
It's
it like
clear,
that.
like it's just point blank gut. You got to take the step because you're either in the stands or you're on the court. There's only two things. It's either one of the two.
Mm-hmm.
Are you watching or are you in the game?
Come on.
And in the game with us, like faith wise, not to knock on anybody with their personal life experiences. If you haven't got in the game, you can't talk to me. Like, you don't have anything to say to me. Like, until you've lost money, until somebody died, whatever the situation is where God asked you to take a step of faith and then it all went blah, and you can go,
Yeah.
until that's happened to you, your story's not that interesting to me. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like-
So you do got an interesting story. So go back to what you were saying earlier. You were saying that we got away from that. We didn't finish that. You feel like you didn't have an interesting testimony.
Yeah. No, I still don't. Because it's not, to me, it's more about the kind of and maybe this is a false way to look at it, but there needs to be a completion of something, because right now it still feels, I don't want to say disjointed, but it doesn't feel complete. There's something, and this is maybe a problem I have, is like, there's something that needs to be completed for me to go. And then ... And I still feel like I'm still in the middle of the river, just treading water. Even though I'm working on all this amazing stuff, it hasn't been, there's not a pin in it. There's not a period. It's just like a comma. So yes, I didn't murder anybody or go to jail or like whatever you want to associate with a great testimony. But
Sure.
to me, it still feels, I'm happy to talk about my faith. That's not a problem,
Yeah.
but I don't feel like I have a stamp to go, and then this happened. And people are like, wow. And I know that some people are like, that's the wrong way to think about it. But we as men, I think we often associate what we do and how successful we are. And this is the thing where I built a business, or I did this or that, and I have a website up and I've done some cool videos, but like my whole thing is like, I can talk about that to get a job, but is there a point that's go? And then At the end of the day, you just have to come back to the fact that God is still God. God is still good. God loves us. You just have to lean into that, because it's not about like, we want to succeed and we want this stuff to be the period, but preaching to myself here, man, can we just get to the,
Yeah,
you want to get to the end so you can say,
skip to the good part.
well, yeah, but that's like, oh, well, this is a period, because you want that period. But even in the Old Testament, when they came out of Egypt, they had the stones with them to remind them when they crossed over the river, like, this is the thing that God did for you. Don't forget this thing. So, and I think a lot of us we easily forget what happened 2 years ago. If God got you out of this massive, you were in a car accident, but we're unscratched, or whatever the situation was. And we're like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. But that's literally like touchstones in our lives that we have to just remember, like, oh wow, God is always there for me, even if I don't feel it in this particular time or season. So, yeah, it's important.
Dude, that's such a good point. I think about a lot. I think about how we may do things that we think is insignificant,
Yeah.
but God views it as significant. And I think about it
that's like the last 2 years of my life.
It's so important. It's so important. Like, we're going to get to heaven. We're going to realize it's like your whole life laid out. And it's like, wow, I had no idea that had this impact. And if I wasn't here at this time, this whole thing, I thought it was my goals. I thought it was this. And those are important. But this was way more important than I ever thought it was.
Yeah. I get sucked into the thing too, where I'll like, have a moment of weakness or whatever it is. And that will, if unchecked, that leads to the bad black hole of some,
just like emotionally, you go down a dark hole?
Well, emotionally, and then you let it affect you physically, and then it branches out to other parts of your life. So like, I've been in situations where, something happened with a woman, and it was like, I guess this is okay for now. And then it just went 120 miles an hour this way. And I went, wow, that was not cool.
Girls tend to do that.
Not cool. No, it wasn't the girl. It was me. Like, I just,
that's what I'm saying. They tend to have that effect,
when you take advantage of the situation because you can, not in a like physically abusive way, but like, if somebody's going to let you do something with them and you're not supposed to be doing it, and then like in the back of my mind, I'm going like, oh, I guess this doesn't really matter now because I'm not married. And like, this whole thing of, this is why I think we need to check ourselves.
Oh yeah.
This is turning into an amazing sermon, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, we have to check ourselves every day with this, like, put on the full armor of God, because it's just so easy. And like we said, like, been a Christian since you're young, but if you aren't marinating in this word, man, and we're not surrounded by these people and speaking into our lives, I'm convinced in a week I could be a totally different person if I didn't have God in my life. Just full on taking advantage of people, drugs, whatever the,
or just not
whatever
on
the
purpose,
crazy,
not being filled with peace.
Yeah.
You could not be doing any of that terrible stuff.
Yeah, but that's not exciting. I want the exciting word.
Yeah. But no, for sure. And it's, you have to be in the word. Like you said something earlier of, if you read all the Bible, what's next?
Yeah.
What else? Dude, I've been reading through the book of John. It's like, I just don't get it, man. I'm reading it and it's like, how did Jesus know that? You think about that? It's like, dude, how did Jesus know some of this stuff? Like, his confidence level to go, this is what's going to happen. The Father showed me this. The Holy Spirit's going to come. How did he know that?
Yeah.
He got that from spending time with God.
Yeah.
And his confidence to say that, I'm like, dude, Jesus, you're just amazing. Like, that's amazing. And he did that as a man. He did that as an example that we can receive from God like that.
Yeah. Well, and this is the thing, because people read the Bible. People don't really read the Bible, because say
that again.
People
read the Bible. They don't let the Bible read them.
Read the Bible. You gotta let it read you. There's a difference between reading and understanding. Because there's verses I'm getting back to now in the New Testament. I'm looking through stuff that I learned when I was 12.
Lay one on me.
But I'm just understanding it now. And one of the big ones was wisdom and understanding. And so God has literally made you a promise. And he says, if you lack wisdom and understanding, ask for it, and I will give it to you freely. Free. And this is a crazy concept that I think about, because if you think about how much technology we have in the world now, how much AI, all the information that we know is incredible to somebody who was alive 2,000 years ago. It's insane. But there are stuff that only God can show you and only he can tell you. And that will have a dramatic effect on whatever you're doing in day-to-day life, whether you have a business or whether you're trying to witness to somebody. Like, I want to say this. Don't say that. Say this. Oh, wow. And that opens up the conversation to a whole other, I really didn't want to talk to you, but you just happened to talk about ask me about my sister. And then it was this whole thing. So it's like the key to the older I get, the more I understand the key to just kind of just letting go. And I'm still admittedly terrible about this, but I'm trying to get to the point. I'm just like, okay, what do you want to say? How do I shut up? Because I just want to be funny and make people enjoy their time with me. But is there something more important here? What's the thing here? As I don't think anything is accidental. It's if you're a Christian, there's no coincidences. God is literally taking you, pointing you to places to go. This is your chance. This is the opportunity. Take it. It's right here for you. Sort of thing like that.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
but
Oh, yeah.
But the wisdom and understanding of that is something we really got to tap into that. Because if we're not, we're just off on our own. And like we're Christians, but we're just going about life, hopping, bobbing around. And there's just stuff that, it's like I said earlier, like you have a specific purpose. You have a specific mission based on the creativity and the love that God's putting you to do whatever that thing is. But you got to be hearing from him to really, it's like an access point. Like you got to opens the door. Well, I didn't know all this stuff was back here. And God's like, yeah, it's been here for a while.
Yeah. It's been in here.
You just had to conclude it.
Yeah.
Is that a 57 Chevy Bel Air back there? Yeah. What? Yeah.
Dude, and I think that it's important to mention, you don't have to go through something to have the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding about it. Like in the book of Daniel, it says that God gave him that spirit of understanding.
Right. Yeah.
And like just by reading through the word, we can pick up things and you can know and have revelation on it and you can own it and you don't have to go through it. Like I don't have to go through something terrible or heartbreaking to understand the value and principles of that.
Yeah.
Like you can just get it from the word.
Right.
And so like when you ask, I think that's such an important part. Is there something that like really stuck out to you or that you were just like, what made you so drawn to that verse and why is it speaking to you so much right now?
Well, personally for me, I'm looking for it. There's things that I don't know about stuff that's going to either happen in the world or my personal business or my whole thing is I'm launching God's put it on my heart to launch a digital media company, not a show. Like I have 5 shows right now that if somebody cut me a check tomorrow, whatever one we shoot first and edit, it's going to pop. I know that. But business wise, what is he trying to show me? Is there something that's going to happen, which there definitely is in like the next 6 years to a month where things aren't going to be the same anymore. So the way that you used to do business, you can't do it anymore.
Right.
Or there's a new platform that you need to be on or the way in which you relay the information. So for me, it's like, I know how to shoot a video. I know how to direct somebody to do something. I know how to put together a project, but that doesn't mean I'm going to be successful. And so God is wanting to show me something specifically with regards to business and how I deal with people and what I do. And that's not just for me, that's for everybody. That verse is in there. It's a universal verse. If you don't know something or you want to find out something, ask me and I will show it to you. And it's not a flip a coin sort of thing. Maybe I will today, maybe I won't. Like, no, you get up in the morning at 6 a.m. and you spend some time with the Lord, like 7:30, if he ain't telling you anything, something's off.
Dude, it's so good. Like, I mean, it's just, he's not one to withhold something good from you.
No.
If you said to ask, he will deliver.
Yeah. And I'll just tell you a personal story. This is going to be like, I don't know how it's going to be received, but I'm going to say it anyway, because this is the thing you got to get out is I do stuff on a monthly basis that anybody around me would never do because it's such a faith step thing. And they'd be like, you don't have enough money to do that. You can't do that. Why are you even bothered? Somebody wasting his time. Don't do. And for me, it's a faith thing. I'm like, God, I believe you're big enough that if I take this step, it's going to happen. And 9 times out of 10, the 10th time is something really weird and it never works out. But 9 times out of 10, something amazing happens because I did this thing. And so a couple months ago, I had to turn in this rental car. And so I had it for a month and turned it in. And I just happened to be across the street from a Porsche dealership. And it's like, God knows me. I'm a car dude, motorcycle guy, but I'm very specific with why. So I'm not like, oh, I need the fastest, best thing. I'm like, no. For me, it's about design and mechanics and like this. So they literally walked across the street to the Porsche dealership. And they're like, I said, well, I've driven this, which was true. I had driven this car before. And I said, what do you have that's kind of like this? Because I think this is where I'm headed. Didn't have the money in the bank, none of this stuff was like popping. If they would have checked my credit history, they were like, hey, get out of here. So one of those things. But I felt like I had to do it. So I did it. And within 5 minutes of me sitting down, and this is like straight up, you can call it coincidence, whatever, but no. They come back and they bring me 3 keys and they go, well, we can take these 3 out right now. Let's go. And so not only that, but the first car I take out is a manual 911 Carrera S. And so I'm got the gears, clutch. I'm just like, oh, yes. And it was so smooth. And we go to get on the highway and it is traffic time on the highway. Nobody's on the highway. The highway is wide open.
That thing ripped.
Again, you can be like, well, that's a coincidence. Like, bro, come on. Seriously. So I run it through the gears like we're doing 120 and the salesman's just looking at me like, all right, cool. I was like, but then afterwards came back and then let's take this one out. 2, 3. So literally I went through 3 Porsches in the matter of, an hour, I guess.
Yeah.
But it was just one of those things where like God was showing me like, hey, nothing is really off limits to you. Not to say I'm going to get a bunch of cars and everything, but like the faith step to do that was an important thing. Because why would you do that if you don't have the money to do it? Well, is God hindered by the fact that you don't have enough money if he wants to bless you that way? And people take that out of context and be like, all right, you're name it, claim it, craziness. But look at what happened. Mm-hmm. And that was like one instance of something that happened over the last couple months. It's like, you got to scare yourself in your faith a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Not where you put anybody in danger or anything like that, but like, you got to get out there because maybe God's asking you to take that next step. And so, like I said before, if you don't take it, you're never going to know what's open to you. And the long story short of the end of that thing was I happen to make a very valuable connection that now we're operating like we're talking about a big business deal with that stuff like that.
Really?
Just because I happened to go there, took the step of faith, took a test drive, and like this now became this other thing.
Why do you think people won't take that big step?
Because we put too much faith in what we have and what we can see and what's tangible. I know I didn't have the money to buy the car.
Yeah.
It wasn't about that. It was like, doesn't mean I'm never going to have it. It was like, I have to do this thing is kind of, but look what came out of that.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't have that. I can't do that. That's a waste of time. And I'm not saying there's not wisdom in some of that, but if your belief system as a Christian is based around what you have and what you can see, brother, you ain't doing it right.
Brother, you ain't doing it right.
That ain't the right way.
That's
so good. Right into the show. If anybody else has ever done anything like that, we want some email feedback on that.
We want.
One guy's like, yeah, I had to jump out of a plane. And it's like, whatever it is. But I can't be the only person out there that does that.
No,
there's got to be a book of like Scary Faith or something like that.
Yeah. I've actually heard of Crazy Faith, Big Faith, all kinds of books. So,
I mean, and this goes back to like business and entrepreneurship that's all that is going out. And I think I've got this idea. It might work. It might not, but I believe in it. Maybe you fail twice, 3 times. But if that's a thing in you, you've got to see that through because I don't believe that's accidental. I believe that's God.
Dude, like I'm thinking of everything that you're saying right now. We've got a big deal under contract right now and we got to raise a lot of money for it. And I'm like, man, like maybe I do this, maybe I do that. A lot of times I think about like, what if everything that we see and do is just this like simulation and none of it's real? And the only way like we think money buys this car.
We think that's air you're breathing.
Yeah. In the Matrix. There is no spoon.
There's no spoon.
No, but for real, I think about that. I'm like, what if it's not the thing that we think that changes it? It's simply like faith in the unseen. If that's all it is.
I can almost promise you that's 95% true. That's
dude. I know it is, but it's like you got to gamify your mind
right
to make those decisions. And I'm like, but Lord, I've gotten hurt in the past.
Yeah.
Do I do it again?
Yeah.
And you have to do it.
Right.
I mean, what if you fail? I feel like we won't fail. I feel like you can't fail. Even if we fail, and I'm preaching to myself right now, like even if we do fail, it's not too far gone.
Yeah. Well, and also too, there's lessons in that. Like people need to get over failure is part of life, but the takeaway from failure is it should never be devastation and like decimation. Like, oh, we're never going to do that again. What do we learn from that? You can't talk to these people and you can't tell people what you're doing, or you can't ask for the crazy thing is I found out about this the hard way. If you ask people for too little money on projects, this broke my brain. I'm telling you, this is hardcore. I asked somebody for $175K And immediately they go, yeah, I don't really invest in stuff that's under 1.5 million. It's like, I should have asked for 1.5. But, and the crazy thing was the project was big enough to support that. I just wanted to do a one-off to prove to them that I could do it. And so the thing was like, sometimes, yeah, this is definitely for us as Christians, is sometimes you're not asking big enough. And dude, the bigger the ask, like when you associate that with what God wants to do in the world with you as a person in business, like if it don't scare you, it's not the right thing. If you can do it on your own and you and two people can get it done, guess what? That ain't a God thing, man. The bigger and crazier is like,
The bigger, the better.
yeah. I mean, the whole thing about us is we're made to take dominion. That's our thing. Is these people want to like I hear a lot of people go, oh Lord, I just wish you would come back and we just want to be raptured and take us out of this. That's not biblical, man. We're made to be on this earth to take dominion where we step and where we go and what we do. It's our spiritual identity of who we are as sons and daughters of God is you take dominion where you go. You're like, oh, what's this place? It's politically weird and I don't want to go. Pray about it first, but go. Like that's where you step foot in, that's your place.
Ooh.
Yeah, dude.
So you feel like the past couple years that you say have been a struggle.
Yeah.
Is it that belief of like where God puts you, that's where you are? Is that the belief that kind of anchored you?
Yeah. And you have to like, you got to get stuff out of your brain of like the sadness and get over the depression. It's like, oh, so I don't want to be here anymore. Like God's, and the whole thing with like the place I was before this was before I got this job opportunity. I was working at some place I hated. When I tell you I hated it, I'm not gonna say where it was, but I hated it.
Hated it. Let's say you really didn't like it.
Yeah.
Hated it.
The thing about it was I did not get any financial benefit out of it. I barely paid my bills, but there was somebody that I was supposed to connect with. And that thing was when I realized that I went, oh, okay, this is what it is. But there was no other purpose because the money was terrible. The job was hard. The hours were terrible. It was like an overnight job. But just, man, like understanding the purpose of why you are where you are is 90% of the battle. And that's the thing is we just have to get over, I don't want to do this because. And God could be saying like, your glory train, for lack of a better word, is here. You just don't realize it yet. And you need to look at the situation differently. We're so caught up and I don't like it.
Yep.
Yeah. And that honestly, that's been a lot of my, just being real, that's been a lot of the past, like on and off, like the past 5 years. Like, I don't like it.
Yeah.
But yeah. And I think right now I'm at this place where some other people have kind of confirmed this in my life. God's funneling you right now. You're just being funneled into this. You have this and it's not, this is supposed to happen, but you're going to get squeezed. And when you're at the end of this, man, it's going to be nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I got to get you to that point.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
You got to have some type of encouragement. You got to have something you're believing for.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You got to be some light at the end of the tunnel. You know what's interesting is, so I would consider you a very creative person.
Possibly.
Dude, creative people are different than me.
Yeah.
I'm kind of creative.
You're creative enough to put together a podcast. We'll give you a starting 4 on the scale of 10.
I got a little something. All right. If I'm a 4, all right. What would you say John Mark is then?
Dude, we're simpatico like that. I'd say we're probably like 12s.
That's what I'm saying.
We're off the scales.
Off the freaking scale.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I look at people like him sometimes and I like marvel and I'm like,
yeah, but trust me,
so different.
Trust me, you don't want that.
I don't.
The problem with that is you have so many creative ideas and I'm the same way as like,
oh, you can see it in real time.
I would like to start a tortilla business and this is how we should do it. And we will have tomatoes and cheese and chicken and nothing else. And we will see how well this goes. We're on the other end of the spectrum going, what if we built a rocket ship that shot tortillas out of the back of it, but at the same time sprayed a guac gun sideways? And then we gave everybody 3D glasses and they could tap into the app and you would save 20% on the app and you order the guac square. This is the speed up.
If you build it, let me know.
Exactly. He's like, and then it was like, I can't believe they built the guac spaceship that shoots out tortillas. This is the issue. But I believe that's also a gift from God too, is like, he has to create people like that that they're like, we got the bigger picture and this is the answer to it. So, yeah. I would say it's a blessing, but if you want to call it a curse, it's a beautiful curse to have.
Dude, it's crazy. Like, I'm not trying to put people in boxes, but
creative boxes are okay because you can open the lid and jump out.
Yeah, how about that?
There's a nugget for you.
No, that's kind of good.
Turning a negative into a positive.
Yeah. It was very out of the box
Yeah.
thinking.
Dun-dun-dun. Shh, get a rim shot.
But no, man, it's just like, you see people and I'm like, wow, that's so interesting. And there's common threads of like how to operate and think and stuff.
Yeah.
And I just respect it. I'm like, man, that's different. That's cool.
Yeah.
Stuff going on. I like it.
Yeah. The downside to that is like you have to accomplish it. And this is the thing is sometimes you go to 120 and you got to scale back to 60.
Yeah.
But
finish.
the problem with it is once the idea, either the idea has to die completely or you got to see it through.
Got to see it.
Because otherwise it becomes it's like a graining. It's like, and until it's done, that's the only thing we can focus on. And I think that's actually, we need to take that before God. And that's an issue where I need you to help me, again, back to the verse about wisdom. Ask for wisdom. Is like, how far do I take this?
Mm-hmm.
It's like I was joking about the tortilla guac spaceship thing, but really, how far does that need to go?
Yeah.
Like, because if you want this to be a thing and it's going to benefit people or whatever the business aspect of it is, like, what's okay to go and like, back it up. And then, but it's still going to be successful or whatever that is.
Yeah. When is enough?
Right.
When are we
Yeah.
finishing that thing?
For me, it's, man, that's a high bar. Because I see things as very big. Just, I was telling somebody with this, I had a story and they were like, what if we, really great person, they wanted to start a local dentistry business for people in the community.
Yeah.
And I said, I love that. And they were a military veteran and trying to figure out how to put stuff together. And they were in a very particular part of, I think they were in Tampa. And they said, I want to do this thing. And I said, the first thing I would do is once you have your trailer together, book some tickets to the Bucs game and then pull up. I don't know if they let you do this, but this is my idea, was like pull up to the Bucs stadium with the dentistry trailer and give people like 15% off dental cleaning if they can bring their tickets to the dental trailer or something like that. And they were like, wow. I'm like, I saw that immediately. So it wasn't like, how do I start the dental business? It was like, take it to the place where there's a ton of people and they would respect military veterans and football. And they would have you'd have this great organization. And you can have that truck running for 8 hours that day on a Sunday with the game or whatever it was.
And be fixing teeth right there.
Exactly. But that's the breadth of like, that's my thing creatively God gives me is, here's the idea. Bam. That's the blow up. That's where it gets to. So it's just like figuring out the in between. But I told that to the person. I was like, I would have never thought of that. And in my mind, I'm going, how did you not think of that? You're in Tampa with the Bucs thing. But not to say anything against them. Like, they just had a kind of a simple concept. And I know, but this could be huge and amazing. And so there's nothing wrong with simple concepts, but like just God gives some of us this crazy mind. This is what it's going to be. That's scary. He's like,
yeah.
Like, okay, we're going to do it.
Go ahead. Okay, we're going to do it.
Yeah. So to be very careful who you tell stuff to, because that's my thing. It's great to have conversations like this where creatives are bouncing back and forth but like you say some things to the wrong people and they're like, that's stupid. My brother did that and he failed and you're not going to be any better than him because I've seen your work ethic. Like, whoa. But I've had those conversations before where I come up with a thing and somebody just took a shotgun and put it in my mouth.
Dang.
Bam. Sorry.
Yeah. No, I could. Yeah. You got to be careful who you're sharing the vision with.
And then I ate a bunch of cookies and felt better.
Yeah. Bro, I've been on a crumble cookie kick lately.
Yeah.
You like crumble?
Dude, I have a problem. I'm trying to maintain a good weight in my 40s.
I have a problem.
I was like, let me just keep going to the gym and eating semi-healthy and see what I can.
So what you been doing for workouts and taking care of yourself?
Dude, I've lost 25 to 30 pounds in the last year doing everything from simple basketball to walking to bike riding to, I was sitting around like 215 or something like that. And now I'm down into the 190s. And
there you go.
Yeah. Just, you can't be 6 feet tall and over 210 pounds. It just doesn't look good on me. So,
yeah.
But
that's cool.
Yeah.
How are you investing your money these days?
This is a serious conversation I'm having with God right now because the project that I'm on, which I'd like to talk about, but we haven't launched it, so I can't. It's a political thing, but we'll give everybody the link to send you guys when we're ready.
Oh, sure.
But the back end is much heavier than the front end. So my take home for the front end is small, but the back end is potentially massive. So if the economy is still here in 5 to 6 months or whatever it is, it's going to be a serious question. Like after I paid everybody back what I owe, do I put this back into my business? And so talking with a couple of people financially now about media and building media and what that looks like, Do we need to take that and invest in coin or digital stuff? Is that going to be the thing that sustains us for the next year when we launch all the shows? Is it going to be, or do we go to the Philippines and buy a house? I don't know.
Go to the Philippines, buy a house.
Just whatever the thing
Bro, we're
is.
going to have a rocket
I'm
ship.
open to
shooting
exactly.
out Glock guns.
I'm open to whatever that thing is, but I am confident that I don't know it. So
interesting enough, I was looking at flights to the Philippines today.
Dude, the beaches there, bananas.
Great surfing there.
Bananas. Yeah.
I've been told by my employees who are Filipino, if I go there, I'd be like a celebrity.
This is true. But
they're like, people are going to want to take pictures with you. I'm like, why? They're like, you big, tall, white guy.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
To get
That's
back,
a real conversation.
I wish I was a guru of finance. I am probably the farthest thing from it. I would like to be. I'd like to have kind of inside knowledge, but I feel like right now, and just being transparent, God has me on more of just kind of trust me, faith-based path. And I'll provide the finances for you. And then you got to get with some people to talk about it.
You just reinvest in everything you got into the business.
Yeah. And that's a great place to be. But also I don't think we don't stay unattuned to the Lord about this stuff. I think he definitely cares about it. He's trying to talk to us to give us insights about stuff. What's the stock market going to do? Is digital currency going to be the thing? Is gold going to be whatever the thing is?
Multifamily real estate.
Whatever that thing is, God will speak to you personally about how to take care of you and yours based on whatever the situation is. So yeah, I wish I was the guy. I'm not.
No, it's all good. But you are the guy.
I'm like, if you give me this much of your money, I will make this beautiful thing for you, and then you can go and sell it. And so, this is a conversation we're having right now locally. Is with this guy. He has a particular sports fitness thing that he's trying to sell, and I came in and I developed a very small idea for him, and I said, "This will sell your thing in 3 months if you roll with it." And the only reason I have that information is because I was working in motorsports and athletic commercials and stuff like that, and I was like, I know for a fact, we put this out on the market in the next 3 months, you're out of stock and you got to reorder stuff. So that's an insight that God gave me. I was like, boop, connect the dots. So he pulls the trigger on that. We'll be having much different conversations in 2 months. Or something.
I like that. I like that.
We're on a boat.
I'm on a boat.
Podcast on a boat. Christians on a boat. How many was that? Like 6? That's the 6th one. We come up with the 5th one or something.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
My original podcast idea with one of my best friends was live from the floaty. They'd be like,
that's fantastic. I love that.
Yeah, I'd love to do it live from the floaty.
I have to make sure I have one with a super cozy where I can fit like the 10 ounce, whatever the drink is, and put it in there. And,
no, I want like a big gulp 150 ounce.
I do like.
You seen that Parks and Rec episode? Yeah, the big old.
I'd come up with the most creative liquid death can and put it in there and be sipping on it. And some lemonade or iced tea or whatever it is.
Dude, I love a good Arnold Palmer on a hot day.
Can't go wrong. I was raised in the South, man. Sweet tea is my kryptonite.
Really?
Yeah.
I was raised in the South too.
Suck it up like crack, man.
Yeah, I know. You got to be careful with the sweet tea because they make it too sweet.
Depends on where you go. Certain restaurants are great. And then I was never good at making it at my home, but I could tell you like go to Hardee's or go to Chick-fil-A or go to Waffle House. Hardee's. They get to.
Yeah.
Are you old enough to remember the Monster Burger that they came out with? It was like 2003 or 4 or something like that.
I don't.
Dude, this was I don't know how many calories were in this thing, but this was a
wait, I think I do remember.
It was like
Monster
that
Burger,
thing has like 3 patties, cheese, bacon, special sauce. I'm like,
I could go for that right now.
Oh man, Monster Burger was it, man.
Dude, I just went out. I just finished this cut I did. It was an 8-week cut. I lost almost 17 pounds.
Jeez, wow.
And bro, for the past week, I've been hungry.
Yeah.
Hungry.
What happened?
Then refeeding.
Yeah.
Gaining it all back.
I'm praying about a fast right now because one of our producers is actually in a 21-day fast.
21 day?
Yeah. It coincides with the 21 days of prayer, but I'm thinking about like a 7-day one just to time it properly so I can do it because I don't want to get into a situation like, oh, I got to go work out and I need protein. I'm just like, all right, Lord, with what's coming, what do I need to know from all avenues?
Yeah.
So yeah,
that's good.
I think I'm going to do that.
7-day no food?
But yeah.
Any
coffee and water is my jam, man.
So have you done 7 days before?
Yeah.
Really? And you're good?
Yeah. Once I set to it, it's good. So the most hardcore one I ever did was a 21-day fast, and it was a deceleration food fast. So you would start off eating 2 meals a day, down to 1 meal a day, down to either fruit or a single fruit group. And then the last 2 weeks were just liquids. And that was like, I think I lost 20 pounds during that, but also like I got crazy clarity from the Lord on stuff. And somebody sent me a check in the mail for $7,000 out of nowhere. Like,
what?
Yeah. That legit happened.
Bro, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I've done fasting. The longest I've ever gone without food is 5 days.
Yeah.
I do want to do a 7-day soon. I'm planning on doing like a 2-3 day
Okay.
within the next few days or something, next week or two.
Yeah. That was a weird story I just told too, by the way. It was like, he just said if we fasted for 21 days, we're going to lose 20 pounds and somebody's going to send me money in the mail. That's not what I'm saying. That was very specific to me with what happened. But yeah, I was working with this company. I said, hey, I want to do this thing for you. And they're like, okay, cool. We'll send you a check. And I'd barely been talking to them for 3 days and it was pow. But it was like, I took the time to seek God on it. And it was bam, out of the gate. So yeah, pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Dude, so do you fast regularly?
No, but honestly, the more I talk to people who are super
No.
no. But it can be part of, I think should be part of our monthly habit. I don't think there's anything wrong with going hardcore for 3 days and like praying about stuff and seeking God. And
Dude, I'm a big proponent of fasting. I don't do it all the time. I try and do at least a 3-day, like probably quarterly.
I definitely understand the benefits of it because I've seen it firsthand, so I can attest to it. But
So what was it like? 21 days? Were you just so connected or what?
Yeah, that was in a really interesting time because I was really connected with God and I was really getting into the scriptures about what was going on in my life at that time. So this was probably almost 10 years ago. And it was just a great time. I was in it, but it was an intentional, I know that I hadn't done it in a while and I needed to do it. And it was great because it reset my life and for a couple of years. And I was like, okay, that's the way to go. But yeah.
Dude, that's awesome. But you've been single for a while, right?
Yeah. I was, man, how much time we got? Are we killing this?
Go a little bit longer.
Listen to 2 hours of this podcast? Like, I don't know, man. Where are these guys going with this? So the long story short was I almost got married when I was 26. Both of us went to premarital counseling. Probably the best decision I've ever made, and hopefully for her too. But we're still actually friends to this day. But we realized that we were together because we were together. And this thing that we thought we needed to do was we loved each other, but it wasn't the right thing because she was willing to support me until I quote unquote made it. And I just had the foresight to go, that's going to be a disaster because I don't know how long that's going to take. So yeah, that kind of ended that relationship. And I had I've always been a guy who's like a monogamous in my relationships. So when I was dating, I wasn't seeing a bunch of people at one time. I was like with one person. And so the last person I was with for on and off really for like about, I think 6 or 7 years. And that relationship in itself was incredible just from a person to person standpoint. It wasn't a Christian one though. And so somebody really convicted me one day. They were like, hey, what's up with you in this relationship? And I went, I don't know. I'm just having a good time. And they're like, really? I was like, yeah, you're right. But it's still, I mean, and to just be honest with you, it took me a long time to really get out of that because we were so comfortable with each other and just had a great rapport. And no matter what happened, we were in the same industry. And so we could always talk about that. But I attest that to, it's a cautionary tale because you could be comfortable with somebody for a long time. And one of the reasons why I actually think God's given me a word about my wife, actually. We can get to that later, but there's no reason to be comfortable in something that you're not supposed to be comfortable in because you can waste a lot of time. And not to say that there wasn't like a mutual benefit to the relationship as far as like housing and everything like that, but I just wasn't supposed to be in that relationship for that long. And I think that definitely had some sort of effect on my life longer than it needed to. I have been single now for quite a while. I would say, what am I now? 43. 7 years?
6, 7 years.
6 years, something like that.
Were you two living together?
Yeah.
So was it
Clanging and banging.
Yeah.
Clanging and banging.
So was it like, did you start to get a revelation of like sexual purity and stuff?
I had done this thing where I knew that she wasn't the one and it didn't bother me, which is like a spirit of, you should not be okay with that. But I just knew that it was like, okay, this is not the time. I don't know when this is going to happen, but it's the thing. You got into the routine and I wasn't really seeking God on this. I'm just like, I guess you just have me here and whenever it's time to go, we'll go. And so that was part of the detrimental part of that relationship was the physicality of that and the sexuality of this, the combining and the coming together was like, that was a very strong soul tie. And that was a thing it's hard to break that, especially if you genuinely care about the person. There's not a lot of fighting or angry about each other, but this thing was just like this compatibility and this love for one another went beyond the basic, oh, you're my friend. I want to take care of you sort of. So my thing with kind of the sexual purity, I don't want to say awakening, but the realization of you can't continue to do this because God cannot bring your future wife to you until you stop this. because he can't let that into the relation. It might be part of your past, but it definitely can't be like, oh, and then I'm going to meet her at Starbucks on Tuesday and I got to go home and be like, hey, she's here. Sorry. Bye. That's not going to be a thing.
Yeah, you can't.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. And also too, that's just to be real, that's unfair. If you're a guy in that relationship and you're in that relationship right now with that woman, like just don't cut it off, man.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're not only wasting your time, you're wasting her time. And she
Mhm.
could be with a person that, like we're speaking from a Christian perspective, but you don't waste people's time. Like
Yep.
that's mean.
So how would you define sexual purity now?
I like motorcycles. It's no, um, I just don't put myself in the situation where if I think something is, I'm in like a business mindset right now. So
Mhm.
everything that I'm doing is focused on seeking the Lord on business and where that goes. No part of that really allows for dating. That's just where I'm at. I'm not trying to date. I'm not trying to find her. I'm not trying to hook up with women who are Christian, who are in business. That's not my thing. I'm like, let me get focused on you. You will then bring everything into where it needs to be. And in that right time, that's going to be an apex moment when I meet her. And it's going to be, because now, like I said, I'm in my 40s. So I have a very strong feeling that God revealed something to me almost a year ago about who she was and what she was going to be in my life.
Is that
And
the
so,
word you're talking about?
yeah. And so to get on that path, he was like, this is what you need to do to get ready for her. Shoot, that's tough.
What were some of those
Not from
things?
not from a sexual purity standpoint, but it's from, you just need to be aware of what you watch, like what comes into your eye gates, also how you treat other people, because at the end of the day, God's refining us constantly. So whatever comes out of that fire is going to be met with whoever that person is for you. Chances are they're probably going to be refined a little bit too. And especially with me in my 40s now, just keep bringing up the age, but it's what it is. I don't think she's going to be my age. I think she's definitely going to be younger than me just because of what the Lord spoke to me, but also where you're at with the Lord determines so much stuff. And sexual purity is just one of them. But I don't put myself in situations that are just going to lead to, I know myself too well. I'm not 16. I've been around the block 3 or 4 times. Like I know what my tricks are and what gets me off. Like, what is this thing? And yeah, so I just know what not to do. And it's just a matter of not doing it. There's stuff that I can't look at on Instagram. There's places I can't go on my computer because if I go down that rabbit hole, it's a 5-minute click, 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 bam.
Bam.
And then you're in trouble for 3 hours.
Big time.
I think you would share a little bit about your kind of personal struggle with, like pornography and stuff like that. But my thing was with me was I was never a weekly viewer. I was never even a monthly viewer. When I was doing it, I would months at a time, I was clean and good. But then I would have these like weird binges.
Oh, yeah.
8 hours a day, 10 hours a day. And the crazy thing about this was this was honestly, this was like a spiritual demonic thing, was that I was trying to find stuff on a level of creativity and high, I was looking for quality in pornography. So like, I'm looking for a high video, like like really good, not set design, but like these people look amazing. This lighting is amazing. Whatever this thing is. Like,
Yeah.
Not to get too much into detail, it was like, I need to find the best representation of this particular type of pornography. And then I can go to sleep.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing was the Lord literally showed up one night and he goes, what are you looking for? Like, and I was at that point and I was like, the best possible representation of this. And he said, you're not going to find it. This is going to be a thing with you where it just happens and continues. And what you need to realize is like the devil is wasting your time with this. You are searching for something that does not exist because you are going to try to make it up in your mind that there is something else out there and it's not. So when you're ready, I'll be here. He literally just had that conversation with me. Oh, and so the come out for me was just like, and it wasn't immediate. That's the crazy thing was it still took time to get away from that. Not in that day, but I went like another 4 months, nothing happened. And so it was just really realizing what that did. It wasn't about, I want to say the sin. It was about a time. And what's the one thing, no matter who you are, that you're never going to get more of?
Time.
So the devil was essentially wasting my time with my flesh. And I was like, I'm looking for something. God's like, all right, well, happy hunting.
Dude, that's amazing. So you tell these stories and it's like you're so clear that the Lord is speaking to you.
It wasn't even a question. It wasn't like, yeah, it was just
How do you know that? How do you
like a
know it's
bullet. It
God?
was like a bullet diamond. Just like the apocalypse now. It was like, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
a bullet diamond.
Yeah,
What?
it's like a diamond bullet to the head.
Dude,
It was
come
a
on.
clear understanding in my spirit because I'm a Christian. Like when the Holy Spirit speaks, I know it.
Yeah.
It's not a like, who was that?
Did you develop that or how did you know that?
Yeah. And that's the thing too is, being raised the way I was and just, getting in good groups over the years. There's, you spend time with God, like the Holy Spirit's not going to be silent about some stuff. He's going to pop out. The crazy thing is sometimes he doesn't. And sometimes God is waiting on you to go, you're an adult. For lack of a better word, pull up your socks and let's get down to business.
Pull up your socks.
Because I firmly believe like God will give you rope. You can just go way out until he's like, you going to come back in now? Like, not yet. Okay. Your life.
Yeah. Dude, once I started really because we think sexual purity is just abstaining from sex or not watching pornography.
Yeah.
But it's way deeper than that.
Yeah.
Of the heart. And I can notice almost like my desire for like pornography and stuff, it was like kind of linked to the music I would listen to.
Really?
Right?
Interesting.
Yeah. Music and like content and stuff. And all these things affect you. Like the content, the conversations, the language that you have, the music, because all is influenced into your mind and your heart. And music, our mind, like our heart and mind meditates upon that.
Yeah.
And so like when I start, it's so much easier to stay in that zone of sexual purity when you clear everything up. Right. And now it's way harder for me to listen to music like that because I've got like filters on there. So that way I'm not like, it just doesn't come across.
Yeah.
And I actually flipped it off because somebody sent me a podcast to listen to. And I was like, okay, so it wasn't too bad. But like when I would listen to songs, occasionally stuff would come on. I'm like, wow, like I'll hear an F-bomb or something like that come on. And I'm like,
yeah,
it affects me in a way that it didn't used to.
Yeah.
And it's just like, because you really get to this place where you're a lot more tender.
Yeah.
And it's just like, wow. And I'm like, man, I'm so soft.
That's part of that's the refining is like God's getting at these like, I remember we used to listen like back in the 90s, man, stuff was just, I forget what this, and I don't remember if it was the 90s or the early 2000s. I just remember the lyrics and somebody on listening to this will get it, but it's like, booty, 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 rocking everywhere.
Oh, yeah. Miss New Booty.
Okay.
By, dude, I know exactly who it is.
Yeah. No, I couldn't.
Found you.
I just had it. And for me, that was never like, I didn't have that issue that you have with it, but it was like funny and goofy because that was my brain was like, booty, booty, booty.
Yeah.
And then like years later, I heard it. And the first time I heard it, I was like, oh, that takes me back. And almost immediately the Holy Spirit went, he's like, yeah, but that was like, that wasn't really funny. This is what this really was. And then it was an awakening of, oh, wow. And so, yeah, you have to go back and process everything because so think about it, like everything we've listened to since we were young. I mean,
you flip it on and then you really watch the music video or get the spirit of what it is. You're like, this is not good.
Yeah, yeah. Well, what's crazy to me, this is going to go off on a nerd trail. I don't know how much time we got left, but the thing with me was there was and I remember it distinctly. I remember even as a young kid watching this going, this isn't like it used to be. And it was somewhere in the early 90s when they really started pushing sexualization in music videos. And it was the difference between, I don't know if you ever see the George Michael video, Freedom. So like it was crazy. I don't know.
I mean, I know a little bit.
I don't want to encourage anybody to really go watch it, but it wasn't too crazy overtly sexual. The cinematography in this video was amazing. The lighting and they had all these models and everything, but it wasn't what I would call overtly sexual. My personal opinion on it at the time. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. I love the way they shot this and did this, everything like that. But after that, and I think that was early 90s, but there was something in like the mid 90s where I was just like, I'm seeing way too many like half naked girls. Like this is what they're promoting. And so then it became more like, I'm imagining the music industry. We got to find sexy people who look good, who sound somewhat decent, and we're going to put them in videos. And like, by the time we got to 1999, 2000, MTV specifically, it was VH1, like had this show that was on late at night. And I don't remember the name of it. Somebody out there is like screaming right now, like, what's the show? But it was just sexy videos for an hour.
Oh, yeah.
I forget what the name of it was, but it was like the top 15 sexy videos. And I just remember because I loved music at the time so much. I'm like, why is there what is going on? And that was the beginning of it when I noticed it. I don't even know what kids are doing now, listening to stuff, watching stuff.
Yeah.
I flipped on something the other day, Katy Perry or something like that. And I was like, my mouth dropped and hit the floor when I watched like 40 seconds of this thing. I went, who is this going out to? Like globally. This is a global video that everybody and their brother is seeing.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
it's too much.
Why would you do this? Like, strictly like the purity mindset. Like really?
Oh yeah.
Everybody is. It's a sad. I don't like it. I rally against it, but I remember that change, and I wasn't like in a position to do anything. I wasn't in creative stuff, but
yeah,
it's even like you can go on. I have my site, anointedforsuccess.com. And even in the way that we shot, I had a Nike commercial that I shot, and it was just apparel with Nike, and the girl, she's a beautiful girl, but I was very intentional in the way that I shot that because I was just aware of what people see. I was like, there's just a way that there's shots that go in every video, and this is the way the audience sees it, and apparel companies want it featured and everything like that. But I tried to make it somewhat different than what like most of the stuff is out there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of basic standard director shots, and we need to have this shot, but I never wanted it to be just this crazy overt sexualization of it's a commercial about running.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't need to do TNA shots like for 40% of the video.
Yeah.
So, but that's the thing is like knowing that's very difficult. And I can say that from a really like deep personal perspective is just because everybody's doing something and it's the standard doesn't mean that you have to do it that way.
Yep. 100%.
Like, there are ways to do stuff. And like, it's funny. I was watching a lot of my friends like big into, she got me hooked on like South Korean shows and K-drama and all this stuff like that. And what's crazy about this is they'll go 13 episodes and nobody touches each other. And then like on episode 10, there's just like this little, they're like, what? And so it's just more like, we're watching the show, we're so excited, like, because there's this final thing, and it's just that small little thing. But that's, I think we think about it in terms of like how we think about sexuality now and how quickly we get together with people and everything like that. But there's something in that build up where it's so much has gone down. And it's like a 10-year time gap or whatever the storyline is. And it's just that one like brush of the hand.
Yes.
Or like somebody brushes their hair and touches their cheek. And like we're sitting there on the couch watching, we're like, because I've been waiting for this to happen instead of, we watch all these shows now, within the first 20 minutes of the show, people are hooking up and they're like, I think I love you. We're like, how could you possibly know that?
I think
like, you haven't been through K-drama. That's not a thing. Yeah. I'm like, you haven't been through emotional damage by your father who left your mother and got killed on a fishing adventure. Like, dude, K-drama it's crazy.
Yeah, I even got into K-drama.
Dude, it's a ball. It's great.
I'll have to get into that.
Yeah.
I started getting into little anime stuff.
Yeah.
Not in the sense of I would watch anime shows, but I guess when I was a kid, like Dragon Ball Z and certain stuff.
Yeah.
Little Spirited Away, classic.
Yeah, dude. Miyazaki. Yeah.
Oh, classic, man. But yeah, man. Anything else you want to go over or talk about?
It's not my show, man. It's your show.
Man, dude, I'm blessed, bro. I'm excited for you. I feel like you got a lot of good things going on.
Thank you. And, I can tell you, I will give something to you in a couple of weeks and you can share it on your social media, whatever this.
Yeah.
It's what we're working on now, but I don't say it yet because we're literally in the middle of it.
Yeah.
But if you're in the Florida, Naples area in the next 2.5 weeks, there's going to be something to come to.
Okay.
That will premiere.
Okay.
And we'll get that out there. But I can tell you, it's political in nature. So there's a lot of stuff that's been not
some
told.
Big draw, some big bombs
and
coming out.
Stuff that's coming. I'm not going to talk about it on here, but it's when you find out about the story, you can be like, whoa. And when you find out about the timeline, you'll be like, whoa. And then when you really find out about yourself, you'll be like, we all need to have a prayer circle right now.
Yeah.
What's going on in this country? It's just, and which is really weird. And that's the whole, I guess if we can tie this into a nice little bow at the end, it's where God places you is important, even if you don't think it's important. Because when I first came onto the project, I went, I don't know how you're going to use me on this. This person doesn't even want to do this the way I think I would do it. And creatively, it's just a podcast. How creative can this get? But then when the story starts to come out and you feel like this is actually just step one, like this is going to go to step 5 and it's going to get much bigger, but this is where it starts. So be content in the start and you'll see how Matrix, like how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Yeah.
And when you do see, it's like, you can't put stuff back in Pandora's box. Once it's out, it's out.
It's out.
Yeah, dude, it's hardcore.
This is heavy. Where can we find more information about it?
I'll get it to you personally. So
Okay.
yeah,
All right.
I can't tell you it, but I'll get
Sure.
it to you and you can put it out. But yeah.
Awesome. Well, we're excited and blessed to have you, man. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.